right, hello everybody, and welcome to Health Tips for Life. So excited to be with you on this Monday, October the 30th. Today, the conversation with Dr. Stewart is going to be focused on gut health, something we don't hear much about, we don't know much about, except that sometimes we feel, oh, I feel like the stomach ache or my digestive system is a mess, whatever. So in this session here, Dr. Stewart is going to break this down for us and have an understanding of the ins and outs of how these things work, but also highlight the importance of what can you do about it moving forward. All right, let me bring in Dr. Stewart here. Hello, Doc.
Hi, Dr. O.
How are you?
My digestion is doing very well. Thank you so much for asking.
Well, good. So you must be doing something right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, great. Go ahead.
One of the big questions is, if you're going to live a superior life, if you're going to live on your terms, you're going to be truly successful, does your digestion make a difference?
Wow.
Well, once we get into the details of this, can poor digestion cripple you in this life? Oh my God, can it ever? The answer is definitively yes. And here's a way to consider this. Imagine or remember the last time your stomach hurt. Now, how much could you focus on your career with your stomach? Oh, how much could you focus on your job? How much could you focus on your family?
None.
How much could you focus on your friends? The function of pain is to get your attention, and it grabs it. And you do not have the bandwidth to go much beyond that. And you say, well, gee, what if a person has this gut pain, heart burning up into their chest every other day? Today you have it, gonna have it on Wednesday, gonna have it on Friday, going, what difference do you think it makes in terms of their ability to focus on what they really want to do and how they want to live their life? Well, the answer is it's big.
Yeah. Well, we don't hear much about it. I mean, because the idea of this is something that it's not a laughable matter, but they say, oh, if you feel your digestion is not good, just go to get a thumb, those digestive stuff. Yeah. And when the problem is much more complicated, if only people know exactly how things work, especially when it comes down to gut health. Now, let me ask you this question, because I'd like to understand, why do we have bacteria in gut that we need to have a healthy lifestyle?
Well, are you ready for the comedy of this?
Sure.
We have approximately 1,500 living critters in our small intestines. Now, granted, they're small.
Wow.
And there's a lot of different varieties of these things. And so through saliva and chewing, we begin the digestive process. The stomach then mixes hydrochloric acid. Here's the joke. The hydrochloric acid in your stomach could dissolve a nail, an iron nail.
Wow.
And it also makes something called betaine, which is a strong enzyme. One time we took some betaine and sprinkled it on some fresh oatmeal. It dissolved the oatmeal down into liquid. That stuff is powerful.
Wow.
Then it goes from there and it starts digesting further. As it gets into the small intestines, this microbiome has all these critters in there who eat the food. Their waste product is our nutrition.
Wow.
So they eat it, produce this waste, and it goes, and now it's digested, and now we get to use it and nourish ourselves and rebuild ourselves. I think it's its own wonderful comedy.
It's amazing, and yet a lot of people do not understand the basic process of why the digestive system works the way it does, and what does it need for it to have for one to have a healthy digestive system?
Let's go further than that.
Yeah.
What if your digestion isn't working well and you don't have enough hydrochloric acid to dissolve a nail? That's a joke, of course.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think happens when you eat good food? When you eat the quality things you're supposed to eat? You can't digest them. You do not get the benefit. So a person at 20 has the maximum amount of these betaine and hydrochloric acid. A person at 80 has only 20% of the hydrochloric acid and betaine that the 20-year-old does. So here's one way of looking at it. What is the number one cause of death in the world? Starvation. No matter what you're eating, if you do not have enough hydrochloric acid, you are starving yourself to death. And then what happens? Cancer, heart disease, liver function. I mean, all these systems decline because they're starving to death.
Wow.
You're going, how come no one's telling us this? This has been known for almost a century, but it's not part of any conversation about your health. So
why is that? Because we don't see it. We don't. Is that why there is no conversation on it?
There's no money in it.
Oh.
You know, when you talk about what the remedy is, when we're going to do that shortly,
yeah,
it's a few cents a day. You go, what? Well, no one's making any money on that. But you know, things like Nexium and all the other things we're going to talk about later, there's big profit in that. Big profit. So of course we're going to go for the big profit solution, and no one's going to bother talking about what the real issue here is.
Well, good. So let's start with identifying the problem. Then, if you can help us understand what are the proper solutions or steps to do this, but I also would like to highlight or I'd like you to address, for example, how the traditional Western medicine approaching these issues. So first one, we would like to talk about the digestive system that creating problem. One of them that is well known is the heartburn. What are we talking about here?
We're talking about GERD, heartburn, acid stomach. And what we're talking about here is if you do not have enough hydrochloric acid, there is a valve at the bottom of your stomach that opens when the acid gets high enough. The acid level gets high enough. If it does not get high enough, it stays partially closed. And the stomach is constantly churning, mixing things. And the pressure gets big enough that it pushes this highly acidic food up into your throat and your esophagus. Well, that tube is not designed to deal with acid. It's designed to have passive saliva and food go down it into the stomach, and it's supposed to stay in the stomach. So when it reaches a certain point, it has damaged the esophagus to the point that it is burned it. And it feels like you're having a heart attack. And the situation is so bad that it can burn a hole in your esophagus. Now you got surgery coming up, but you've still not solved the problem. So the valve at the bottom of your stomach is very sensitive to hydrochloric acid and opens when it gets high enough. But the valve at the top of your stomach is very weak, and the stomach can force the food up into the esophagus. Now we got a problem. Oh, big time. So the typical way that people deal with it is give the person something to take that lowers the stomach acid even further. Now hold it. If we're going to digest our food, we need that stomach acid. Now we already got a problem. We don't have enough of it. Now what? So it does cause the problem to go away because the acid level is now dramatically lower and it does not burn the esophagus anymore. But what does it really lead to? It leads to starvation. I mean, the amount of nutrients that are now missing from your whole system are enormous. You're missing out on the benefit of your food. And so it passes undigested through your system because it's not been broken down enough for those critters in your small intestines called the microbiome to eat it and give us the nutrients we need. This is really a problem. And when you start talking about 95 million Americans have this problem, this is not trivial. This is a major event.
And this 95 million, is this related to the fast food they eat, the sort of low quality? Is this what triggers that?
The answer is yes and no. The reason is a young person can eat that stuff. Now, it's not good for them.
Yeah.
And when measured, even young people, when they eat that kind of food with the low quality fats, they start building up cholesterol in their veins and arteries. They're also getting, I love this. Do you know what a spent dairy cow is?
No.
The productive time for a cow that's being milked on a daily basis is a couple of years, maybe 2.5 years. Now, it takes them a couple of years to get there. Then they're productive for 2.5 years. Remember, they're pumped full of chemicals. They're pumped full of everything. They get virtually no real exercise. And then they stop being productive and they slaughter them. Now, what do you think the meat is packed with? All these stimulants and all this other stuff, antibiotics and so on. So a lot of the fast food chains, at least historically, had their beef has come from spent dairy cattle. Don't you love it? It never stops. Now it helps them make money because the cow they have made back their investment.
Wow.
Of course, 5.5 years is not much of a life, but okay. So the real problem is not enough hydrochloric acid, and then we start putting bad food into our stomachs. Now we don't have a chance. And as we've talked about before, some of the worst things you can do are putting things like canola oil into your body. And canola oil is everywhere. It is like you can't hardly find a salad dressing or anything else that has an oil in it doesn't have some canola oil in it. Your body is not designed to deal with that. Historically, it never heard of it. And it doesn't digest it well. So we're starting to compound this thing. But the number one cause after not enough hydrochloric acid is people are overweight. They actually eat more food than their stomachs can manage. David, do you happen to know what percentage of Americans are overweight?
No, all I know is very high in comparison to the rest of the world. That I know for a fact.
It's over 50% are overweight.
Wow.
Now, what that means is 20% more weight than they should, than their bodies can actually manage. So now that their system is so stressed, and you go to any other country, and as you and I both know from traveling, the amount of travel that we do, people are not fat like Americans.
No.
I mean, you go to France and you go to Germany, you go to China, you go, or you've recently been even in Ukraine. Those people are not fat.
No. They walk around, they move around, they don't sit too long. So that's just part of their lifestyle here. Let me take this quickly here, this question here, Ross, because the way we're gonna do the conversation at the same time, if there's a question, we'll just take it. And this is from John Gilia.
Oh, hi.
She wrote, how do you detox and reset your gut? Is there such a way to reset the gut?
Oh, is there ever? And we're going to tell you all about it. You know, I was in practice for 40 years, and I saw hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people with this problem. Of course, there's 90 million people, 95 million people have it. It's going to be prevalent. And we were able to remedy practically all of them, not all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them had other kinds of problems like ulcers or other things. But we were able to remedy it in practically everybody. And we're going to go through exactly what the issues are in terms of remedying it.
Wow.
So yes, she's going to get a definitive answer about it. Because we're going to talk a lot about self-care.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we talk about radical responsibility. So the question is, who owns your life?
Right.
Well, if you're not saying it's you,
that's a problem.
it's because no one else is going to care.
You're right.
They might say, "Oh, I care deeply about you," but they're not with you enough. No one is with you enough.
That's true.
But wherever you go, you take you along. So we're going to put some good information, and we're actually going to name products and how you can get them yourself, and start taking good care of you.
Yeah. Let me share this here quickly here, Doc. This is from Joe. He said canola oil. After Dr. O pointed out the harm of this oil, I did some reading and I now stopped buying this oil. Well,
good for you.
First of all, I got to give credit to Dr. Stewart. I mean, I was aware of the canola stuff, but Joe is a member of the channel, Doc, and he's been with us here with me for really a long time. A wonderful human being that is contributing to the conversation, and we do exchange some comments regarding the type of foods and stuff he eats. He eats cabbage, and he does understand the nature of it, but he wasn't aware of how harmful canola is. So now he is. So, and I am so glad. I'm so glad that you are aware of it now, because it's a very harmful. I'm a believer that if you take care of your health, your health is your best asset, no matter what. So I'm glad
without that asset, you're done.
No. Well, I've seen it. I've seen it. I have friends that are, they're elderly. Some of them passed away. They were very wealthy, but they couldn't move around. I will have to go and take them out and get them in a car and take them around and here's with all this wealth, but they couldn't. It pained me to see them in that stage, knowing how they were when they were young. And that's what I realized. It's not about the wealth. It's about your health. If you take good care of it, that will last you forever.
I can remember the days when coconut oil, which I recommend #1 oil, and for cooking and butter, was said it's so harmful. You need to stay away from it.
Yeah.
So of course, when they started saying that, I did a deep dive in it and found out it's the most beneficial oil you can cook with.
Actually, if you can keep talking, Doc, I'm going to be back. I'm going to bring one example for the viewers to see.
So another thing to pay attention to is high quality olive oil. You never want to cook with it because heating it ruins it. But mixing up your own salad dressing or putting it on things as a dressing, but you need to get an expensive one that says 100% olive oil. And you want pressed olive oil. What we're really talking about is the manufacturers of olive oil, many of them are cheaters, and they'll doctor it up with canola oil or something else because olive oil is expensive.
Here is what I wanted to share.
That's the one.
This is the jar, guys. When I do my eggs, when I do my salmon, when I cook anything, ground beef that is grass-fed, this is what I use, in addition to real butter. No other type of oil that's the only one I will use. So this is the whole jar, organic coconut oil. So
that's the exact one I use too. And I use that size, and every couple of months I have to go replace it. David, we're just talking about olive oil and getting the real deal, the expensive one that has guaranteed to be only olive oil, not a blend or a mixture. Because the manufacturers are cheaters. What a shock. So, I forgot to mention, there are 2 other groups of people who get GERD. Smokers. Of course, they get every other bad thing happen to them also. every disease you can think of, they're going to get it more than anybody else. And pregnant women. That's kind of understandable because they've now got enormous pressure on their stomachs due to a new life inside of them. So they're prone to it. But there's something you can do, and that is pay attention to things that you're sensitive to and make a note. I can't eat whatever it is, and to stay away from it. Many people ate something and they don't really notice that it's upset their system. Then we're going to go to, and that has to do with keeping something of a journal as to what you eat and what happens. It's so easy to get distracted onto other things. Matter of fact, we've got a whole culture of distraction. Pay attention to the useless, meaningless things in life, and then you get distracted away from the important things that make a difference in terms of your life, your survival, your thriving in life. Right. Also, another consideration here is this GERD, this heartburn, stays with you for a long time. It does not magically disappear. You don't grow out of it. No, once you got it, you're vulnerable to it, because remember, the cause is low stomach acid. That your body doesn't spontaneously heal from that. You now have to do something from the outside to manage it. But we have solutions for it.
Before you move to that, Doug, there's a question here from Juga. It says, and I put it right here on the screen for you. So what oil can I use for frying? I'm assuming he's frying the regular, like maybe okra, maybe whatever. What type of oil can he use that it would not have an impact on that?
Palm oil, coconut oil, and butter. Those three. And the suggestion is never cook with any other kind of oil.
Can you use coconut oil?
Absolutely.
You
can use palm oil, and you can use butter. Those three for frotting or sauteing.
Perfect.
Now, they used to almost be outlawed because they were so harmful to you. They're the only ones you can.
Well, the same thing they used to say back then. I remember about 15 years or so. I'm sure you recall. Remember when it was that campaign about eggs are bad for you? They raise your cholesterol and this and that. I remember that 15, 20 years. I even stopped at some point. When I'm like, wait a minute. It's wrong.
It is wrong.
Yeah.
And you take a look at how many eggs are sold in the grocery store, and you get a lot of people understand it was wrong, and they're eating a lot.
Yeah.
The really good ones have got real expensive too.
Yeah. Well, that's why I have chicken at home. So I get my eggs right here at home, and I eat 2 a day. That's normal for me.
I eat a minimum of 3 a day.
Wow.
And I don't have chickens here, so I'm forced to buy free-range organic chicken eggs at the store. But they're readily available at every store I go to. Just a regular grocery store has them. They're a bit on the pricey side, but you only get one go around at in this life that we know of, and I want to make the very most of it. I'm putting the best things in my body that I can find.
Indeed.
So if we're going to really overcome this, there's several things we have to do. The first is we have to raise our hydrochloric acid level, and you're not going to do it by saying, well, I'll eat better, I'll do this. No, your body can't do it. It's done. Thanks to aging. Well, what's the function of aging? Well, a comical way of looking at it, aging is to kill us and let a new generation take over. You take a look at a function of a human being, and we're designed to survive, thrive, and reproduce. When we've successfully reproduced, nature's done with us.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I know. But we might as well laugh about it. I mean, it's the inevitable. We all get there.
Indeed.
But boy, can you have a very different journey along the way.
I like it to be on my term.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
I'll do the
absolutely.
work. I'll put the work in. That's why I'm very excited about learning all these health issues, because I'm realizing, I had a chance to visit some friends of mine recently, the ones I went to high school with. I didn't see
Oh,
for long.
really?
Yeah, they all aged. They all age. I just was surprised, and I asked them. I was like, what's going on, guys?" It's like, "Well, we have heart issues. We're on medication." Well, I say, "What do you?" I found that was it saddened me to see, because we were growing up together, and spending all that time when in our 20s. But I came to realize it's the food they are eating. And I kind of was straightforward with them about it. I said, "I'm gonna tell you because I care for you. That's not mean to criticize you, but you need to take a hard look at what you're consuming, what you're putting in your body."
Yes. Oh, absolutely. It makes such a difference. I know I don't go around looking for this, but people tell me that I look and act 20 years younger than I am. I'm going, well, I'm doing some things right, especially food-wise. And as you know, I'm a dancer, so I dance 5.5 to 7.5 hours a week with 20-year-olds.
Yeah,
No,
it
now
keeps
granted,
you.
they do have more energy and they are more flexible, but I'm still fun to dance with, and they'll dance with me, and that's good enough. So keep in mind, we're looking to raise the level of hydrochloric acid and betaine enzyme. The medications are not going to do it. Nexium, well, there's two things. One is to block the production of it. Another is to absorb the acid, and a third is something called a protein pump inhibitor. All these are designed to knock out the hydrochloric acid and add to your malnutrition.
Yeah. Well,
And
medication is bad news. Medication is bad news.
for this problem, it absolutely is.
Bad news.
However, if you don't know anything and you go to your doctor can't tell you what we're going to tell you right now. And that is, I'm going to recommend some products that you can go online and you can purchase. Now, these things are designed for two reasons. One, raise betaine, raise hydrochloric acid levels, and third, heal the damage to your guts. Because this low hydrochloric acid has burned you, and we want you to heal. You can get them off the internet. They're easy to get. And if there's a healthcare practitioner that you care about, most likely a chiropractor or a nutritionist, they can recommend the exact dosage, although the bottles tell you what to take and how to do it. You can do it yourself.
Wow.
The first one is from Doctor's Research, and it's called Digest-Pan. Pretty straightforward. Digest from digestion, and pan as if they're cooking in it. It's a pan. That's Doctor's Research. Another is a product from Standard Process called Zypan. I have 30 years experience with working with some of these products, and of the hundreds and hundreds of people who have come to me with this issue, this works for almost all of them.
Yeah.
There's another solution that I've been using for a long time now, and that is we raise the level of serotonin via 5-HTP, 5-hydroxytryptophan. And here's what we can do with that. A person has severe indigestion. We give them enough serotonin, and their body starts to produce what it's supposed to. Hold it, you mean the stomach can be told via neurotransmitters to do something better? Yes, it can, and it does. There are some horrible things that go on in the gut, and this raising the serotonin level. My picture just went away. I'm back.
Yeah. Maybe YouTube didn't want you to talk about all this because Big Pharma.
Oh yeah. Here's one that's really hopeful.
Yeah.
Do you know what Crohn's disease is? You've heard of it,
No,
right?
no.
Crohn's disease is devastating. It's when what's in your guts starts to digest the internal linings of your own intestines.
Oh, oh.
Oh, the pain associated with this is beyond excruciating.
Mm.
Your body is eating itself from the inside. And anytime food passes by these spots where this Crohn's disease is eating the intestines, the pain, you can't imagine the pain. So the solution for and in the medical community is a particular medication called, I think it's Remicade. I can't remember exactly right now. But it's pretty cheap. It's $80,000 a shot.
Wow.
Uh-oh, my picture went away. Okay. Can you still see me, David?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know why my picture went away, but it did. I'm going to try something here. Okay, I'm back. I don't know. It just flicked.
But I can see your hair so on the screen.
And when I was doing a lot of work with brain chemistry, we'd take somebody with this and we'd regulate their serotonin levels, and the Crohn's disease would stop eating them. Now, they'd stop taking it for a couple of weeks and the Crohn's would come back. We never quite understood the chemistry of it, but we knew that people would be dramatically better having no symptoms when they were doing it, when we were adjusting the levels of serotonin in their body. And then Standard Process has another product, I think it's called Gastrix, and that's for healing the damaged parts of your system. So is there hope for people? Yeah, and here's what you can get. You can get your life back. If you're one of the 95 million Americans whose quality of life is diminished because of this, you can get it back, but you have to take on radical responsibility. You got to take on it. You own your life, and you need to find solutions.
For sure. It ain't going to happen on its own. I want to share something here quickly with the Army with Harmony. Wow. I'm going to share. I hope it's okay with you, Army, that I share this. I had been on 12 meds 2 years ago, no longer. Well, I hope you feel better.
Well, ask Army on Harmony. What are you doing? Share your secrets with us.
Yeah. How do you adjust serotonin level?
What we're opting for is no medications.
Yeah, no medication, guys.
If you're going to work with serotonin, you need to deal with a healthcare provider that understands the function of serotonin.
Yeah, guys, make sure to understand this is not something you just take willy-nilly, because you have to really have an understanding of what you need to take and the level of it, and you can't just assume you're gonna take serotonin and no, you could cause harm to yourself if you don't know what you're doing. So
that's exactly right.
Yeah, it has to be under the care of someone who understands. I mean, luckily, Dr. Stewart, he comes with us here on Mondays and share this with us and all that stuff. But for something like that, you guys need to know what you are doing. Don't assume and don't take chances with that, please.
There's an organization called Neuro Research. You can find them online. You can call them and they'll refer you to a practitioner who is expert in doing this.
Yeah. And by the way, guys, I'm gonna get you all the links. I'm gonna connect with Dr. Stewart in the next few days, and I'll get you the links to all this, and I post them in the description. This way, you have that just to check it out and be informed yourself. You go and read and learn a little bit about how things are.
If you're in doubt whether you have GERD or not, or whatever your digestive disorder, when you feel the discomfort, it could be worth your while to check it out with a gastroenterologist. Not that you're going to do what they tell you, but they have a test that they can give you called the Bravo test, BRAVO. Here's typically because I deal with a lot of these over the last, especially 23 years. The gastroenterologist will say, "Oh, you don't need that." Yes, you do. You need information. And what they do is you swallow a small capsule that's going to give a measurement as to how stomach acid, what the level of that is, and they can track it for a couple of days. Then the capsule passes out through your digestive system. But now we've got data. We now know just how acid your stomach is. You know, the lower their score, the better. Most gastroenterologists and most research says that if your acid in your stomach is 2, which that's the one that really will dissolve a nail, you're in good shape. But if it's 3, 4, 5, I saw one that was 7. They looked dreadful. It looked like their flesh was falling off, because it was. They were suffering from severe malnutrition because they just couldn't digest anything they were eating. So you see, the higher the score means the more alkaline you're getting. And you know, there's a real passion now for, let's get alkaline water. Going, what for? You want a higher pH in your stomach, not a lower one.
Not a lower one. No.
Well, there's a lot. It's a complex chemistry, but I've never seen the logic of it, even though I've read extensively on it. What you want is higher, not lower. Another thing you can do in the meantime is you can take a small amount of apple cider vinegar. I mean a small amount. That will acidify your stomach.
Which is what I do in the mornings. I do a little bit in a glass. I add a little bit of water and goggle that up on empty stomach.
That's a fine idea.
Yeah.
Or you can do that much every time you eat.
Thanks to my nutritionist.
Oh yes.
Without her knowledge, I won't be able to. I gotta give credit where credit is due. I give her credit for how healthy I feel, because she guided me through all this, and she always tell me, take apple cider vinegar with slight water and goggle that on an empty stomach. I've been doing it. I feel great. So
it acidifies your system, and that's exactly what you want to happen. So that's something you don't have to wait for. That's something you don't need an expert to help you with. Just do it. And every store has big bottles of it for cheap. It's easy to produce. I think Bragg is the one that I've been using for many, many, many years. You mix it. You can even mix it with salad dressing. You can mix it any way you want. And now you've got something that's going to benefit your digestion. You'll feel more comfortable in your guts. You'll live longer and be healthier for like 6 cents a day. That's the right investment.
It is
indeed. When it has such a powerful. But anyway, armed with your score on the Bravo test. Oh, I didn't finish the story. Most MDs will say you don't need it. And so since people are taking radical responsibility for their life, tell the doctor that you want it. You want it. Every doctor who said no acquiesced and said, okay, we'll give it to you. Every time they'll do that, and every time the diagnosis changed, because we saw that the pH was 4 or 5. Those are terrible scores. We want it to be 1.98 to 2.1. We want an acid stomach.
It's amazing. It's amazing that some doctors think that they are God. Whatever they say has to go. When you challenge them on it and said, no, I don't want. I had one time my doctor tell me, well, I need to put you on statin.
Oh my God! Said, no.
He said, because your cholesterol is high. And I said, well, hold on a second. High in what context? Well, yours is around 240. And I said, do you know that in my age bracket, that is the perfect range to be at? Because, I said, no, it needs to be below 200. I said, I disagree with you, doc. I respect your knowledge, but, and to me was when he said statin, knowing what I know about statin, I was floored. I was like, what?
I know. Depending on which part of cholesterol you're looking at, Your
Yeah.
score can be as high as 265, and there's no problem at all.
Yeah,
And you say,
I've been watching some doctors, MD doctors. They have some videos on YouTube talking about why high cholesterol is good for you, assuming it's the right stuff, whatever. So
yeah. Well, among other things, if you, two parts of this one. If you
yeah.
don't have enough cholesterol, cholesterol is the mother of all of your hormones. So if you don't have enough of it, you can't build the hormones that keep you young and healthy.
Yeah. And
The other thing is,
we're gonna do a session about cholesterol separately one day, because that's worth discussing.
and so a big university medical school did a study on cholesterol, and they said, okay, well, we're going to take everyone down to about 120. Ooh. They did this long term. Guess what the result was? Make a wild guess.
120. Ah, okay. It's hard. It's hard to tell.
Cancer.
Wow.
They ended that study pronto when people started getting cancer. They said, we had no idea that was the case. Still, there are doctors out there saying we want to get below 200. It's imperative for your health. You're going to stroke out. You're going to have a heart attack. You're going to die terribly because of this cholesterol in your blood. Going, would somebody help us here? These people need to be informed.
You're right.
Well, I'll tell you who informs them.
Yeah.
The reps from the pharmaceutical company.
Well, yeah. That's why people that I know, I always tell them stay away from medication. Stay away from medication. So here's a quick question from Phil, Doc. He says, does orange juice in the morning help the gut? Thanks, Dr. Stewart.
No.
Because the sugar, right? The amount of sugar in it.
For one thing, that's correct. It's essentially vitamin-free, nutrition-free, except for if you want to raise your blood sugar levels.
Yeah.
You know, the average time for, once you cut an orange, the average time for the vitamin C and every other nutrient to degrade is 20 minutes. So you take orange juice, you squeeze it, 20 minutes later, it's useless. And in the meantime, they pasteurize it because they have to.
Yeah.
And then they give it to you as sugar water. And that's all it is. And I'd have to see what the pH of orange juice is, but dumping sugar water on your stomach is never a good idea. For one thing, it's going to jack up your blood sugar level real high for a short period of time, and you're going to feel bad later because you don't have enough cortisol to regulate your blood sugar anymore. Your system has cleared out the excess sugar. So how much orange juice should you have? 0.
Yeah, I stopped drinking it a few years ago.
Oh, I haven't had orange. I can't remember having the last. Oh, I do remember. I was in Germany and they had a machine that fresh squeezed oranges, cut it in half, and so within 2 minutes I drank it. It was still too sweet.
Yeah.
But
here is another question quickly here, because is there no sugar in apple cider vinegar?
The enzyme, I'm trying to remember how apple cider vinegar is made. I think it's made with enzymes. And the enzymes eat the sugar and give you that sour taste. So that's the way, because apples are full of sugar, and they should be eaten in moderation. Giving children apple juice is just a disaster.
Yeah.
There's absolute 0 nutrients and just all sugar water, and kids get all hyper on it.
Yeah, you guys stay away from those juices stuff and the sodas and all. Take my word for it. I've seen in front of my house with people that I grew up with, and they kept on drinking certain type of stuff, and it's like, no, you don't want to do that. That was their decision. So I want to go back quickly here, Dr. Stewart. I want to go back to Army with Harmony, because you asked the question about what's the secret. Well, He shared it with us here, so I'm gonna post it here.
Good.
Army has to do with the pound. Actually, no, not this one here. It's right here. He said the whole problem was sit too long. Sit too long in front of a computer. You have to move around. Then the fast food, and yeah, I'm glad you are not on medication.
Here is an idea for Army with Harmony.
Yeah.
Sitting in front of the computer for more than an hour without getting up and moving around is an invitation for a heart attack. And so you say, well, I sat for 8 hours. No. You sat for 50 minutes, then you got up for 10 minutes and moved around, and you preserved your life. The medical statistics on this are very clear. Yeah. Also, at 5'10", the shocking thing is you ought to weigh 160 pounds or less, not 265. Again, we're looking at the medical statistics. The big insurance companies put out these charts that go weight, age, weight, and longevity. So you add an extra 105 pounds, you just cut 15 years off your life. Yeah. And the quality of your life is diminished for the last 15 to 20 years. And it really diminished if you have a stroke or you have a heart attack.
Yeah. By the way, Doc, he dropped now. He is in 155.
Oh, congratulations. That's actually ideal.
Yeah. And he's 60 years old, 62.
He's just preserved his life.
Yeah. Except that he needs to stop using sugar on his coffee. He likes his coffee with sugar. No sugar on coffee. No sugar.
If you want some sweetener have him sprinkle some cinnamon on it.
Yeah.
It gives you the sweet taste, and cinnamon helps regulate blood sugar.
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you guys, share this with you. For the last 10 years plus, I've been having coffee. I drink my coffee in the morning, 1 cup, no sugar. No sugar, period. I do cinnamon and turmeric in my coffee. I do creamer, but a real cream. No sugar.
That is really, boy, that is good. I have 1 cup of coffee in the morning, and I use a creamer too, and it's called butter. I put a glove of butter in there and sprinkle it with cinnamon.
I do butter too. Yeah.
And going.
It tastes good.
I think it's the best coffee I've ever had. But I got to watch it. I don't want to do more than a small amount of coffee every day because it profoundly impacts negatively sleep cycles. And as in an earlier show that we did, restorative sleep is imperative to every health issue that you've got.
That is true. That is true. I got a quick question here, Doc. This is from Georgia. What about probiotics, supplements to help with gut issues?
Here's the trick of this. And some colleagues of mine ran 67 people through a probiotic boost program. And they picked a very popular, I think it was one of the Bifidius. And so they gave them 6 weeks of probiotic supplementation. And they were able to dramatically boost the Bifidius strain in the small gut and in small intestines. Then they took them off it for 3 weeks, and the levels of that particular strain went back down to what they were before the study. You're going, that's very sobering. And so then we started looking at, well, what are the ways that you really do build these things? And we looked at several things, including what country in the world has the best gut flora and fauna? Do you know what that is, David?
No.
It's Korea.
Wow.
And what do they eat? Kimchi, sauerkraut, all this raw fermented stuff. And I cook Korean and eat those things. And the health benefits are enormous, but you got to keep doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I do kimchi every other day with my meat.
Would you say it again?
I do kimchi every other day with my
Oh,
meat
that's wonderful.
and
That's
eggs.
excellent.
Just a small portion, not just a little bit. But I do drink the juice of kimchi.
I do too. Well, I put it in a spoon.
Yeah, I do a little bit for that.
And I also like organic kefir, unsweetened kefir. I only eat blueberries, strawberries, and raspberries.
Yeah.
And so unsweetened kefir, which is full of probiotics, twice a week with everything else I'm doing, I think my gut flora is flourishing. I know I had zero digestive issues.
Yeah.
And I've been eating kimchi since I was in high school.
Yeah.
My older brother's wife during the Vietnam War stayed with us, and she gave us all this wonderful kimchi and all these other wonderful Korean
Yeah.
foods, and they stuck with me my whole life.
Yeah, go ahead,
So,
Doc. I'm gonna get something here.
so what you're doing is you're restoring the gut flora on a constant, almost everyday basis, which is just right. You take an antibiotic, for example, and they're going to wipe out whole colonies of this stuff. And we see people getting digestive disorders as a result of those colonies of friendly floral bacteria being wiped out by an antibiotic. So, how important is it? Oh, good. Oh, good. We're going to show it here.
Yeah, because guys, I figured if I don't do it this way, you won't see the benefits. So here is what Dr. Stewart's talking about. Kefir.
Yes.
I have this in my fridge all the time. Why? Because I make a homemade yogurt. This is a natural, no sugar, no nothing else. Because the milk that I get from the farm. So I'll make my own, and I add a tiny bit of kefir because it has a lot of bacteria in it that is very good. And I
And you
use
might mention
sometimes, what was it?
it's organic and raw, the
And
milk.
raw. I get it from the farm, yeah. Then I'll add a little bit of this is natural also. It's a pure yogurt, just milk. But the key to making this yogurt here, this is I make about 5 or 6 jars of this. Every night I have a little bit in a small cup. Eat that before bedtime, and it helps me sleep. But the key is this one here, natural kefir. This is plain, no sugar, nothing organic here. So, because
And
I saw Phil, he put yogurt here. Do not use yogurt from grocery stores.
well, for one thing, you don't even know what's in it.
What's in it?
And kefir is dramatically better for you than yogurt. And we take a look at all these research studies, and the evidence is overwhelming. I mean, it's not a question about is it better. The varieties, the ability for those colonies to establish or reestablish in the small intestines that come from kefir far outweighs the benefits of yogurt. And the taste is similar.
Yeah.
So, and I do like mixing it with organic blueberries.
Yeah. I saw something here. This is from Army with Harmony, something I'm a little bit familiar with. He said, I read where our vegetables are too clean in the store. When they did not have all the dirt washed off, our gut were healthier. Any thoughts? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. If only people know. If only people know what's going on with the veggies at the grocery stores.
This is really a challenge because we're really attempting to feed 340 million people and avoid lawsuits, avoid the cleanliness fanaticism. So if you have dirty produce in the store, people say it's dirty. We don't want it. And by the way, everything says wash it thoroughly, as opposed to some of the healthiest guts in the world are among poverty people who live in the dirt. They're going, that's amazing. That is so counterintuitive to the way I've been taught about wash your hands.
No.
Here's something that's recommended too. establish the proper gut flora for infants. Wash all of your dishes by hand in the sink. Do not put them in the dishwasher. The dishwasher sterilizes them. And if you wash them by hand, they're not sterilized. And so there's a number of the healthful bugs that your system needs to digest properly. I mean, this whole biome thing is fascinating, and what to do about it. But I know we're getting off track here. I mean, we gut biome. We didn't talk about ulcers. We didn't talk about Crohn's disease much. We didn't talk about a number of other things that people suffer from. Want to make sure to cover all of them. Oh, here's another one. We didn't cover leaky gut. In 3 sentences, what leaky gut is about is the interior portion of the intestines has been so harmed by bad food, by alcohol, by whatever, that this really tight tissue that protects the blood system from pathogens that go through your system, they're so harmed that not now small particles get through, but also bigger particles get through. These bigger particles are really dangerous. The intestines are designed to protect us from that. There are a lot of things you can do with that, but that's not what our show is about tonight. Tonight our show is about GERD and what to do about it.
Indeed. I'll do one more comment here about Jules. He wrote, I eat sauerkraut daily with meals. Kimchi contains too much chili. That depends on the type of kimchi.
There are any number of varieties of kimchi.
Yeah, there are different types.
Yeah, and the sauerkraut has to be raw sauerkraut. If they pasteurize it, it doesn't have anything alive in it.
Doesn't have anything good. You're right. So, well, this is why it's important for you guys to know about this kind of stuff. This is how it starts. You're gonna develop the knowledge. At least for me, and I speak for myself here, it took me a few years to really acquire this basic understanding about health, and I had to change my eating habits and my diets and all that stuff, and I feel great. I mean, I won't even challenge you to guess my age. So, anyway, any final thoughts, Dr. Stewart, before I let you go?
Get in conversations with people who are interested in their health. There's something really about constantly communicating about what's good for you. It keeps encouraging us to look at it, to be part of the conversation. We actually have to know something. And there's something about the camaraderie of we're here to take care of ourselves. And I like to talk to other people. I'm a cook. And I like to talk, and you are too, I know it.
I do. Yeah.
I like to talk to other people about cooking really healthy things. And people come up with a lot of good ideas that I didn't know about. So be in communication, take on radical responsibility for your life. You own it, and good health. Indeed.
Well, this is what this channel is all about, because and I'm very grateful to you. I'm sure I speak also on behalf of the channel's viewers here, that they are very grateful that you are carving out time for us. I know you're busy, but we're so grateful that you share this knowledge with us. And no, Georgina, she said, I'm 40. I was 40 a decade or so ago. I wish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it a surprise for you guys. 45. No, I was 45. And on a serious note, I was 55. It's all about health, understanding, because I had to make a decision a few years ago, because I'm seeing where things are headed. Well, once you realize, and again, I am so grateful to my nutritionist, because without her knowledge, I won't be what I am health-wise. Of course, Dr. Stewart also, because he's a friend of mine. We converse, we talk, and I learned a lot from him. And the change that I made over the years, that started almost a decade, it's paying results. I'm about 58, guys. So, yeah.
Oh, I wish I was that young.
Yeah. Yeah. But also, I watch what I eat, and I do all this. So, anyway, guys, well, Dr. Stewart, we thank you so much. Truly appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you next week. You take care. Bye-bye. All right, guys, I hope you find this very informative. And again, if I can tell, the best advice I can tell you, for not only because you are viewers of the channel, because you're a human being, and I care for the relationships we have here, is take good care of your health. You know, the big pharma, the doctors, and yes, I respect the doctors' knowledge and so forth, but they don't want to face it. They don't want to hear it, because to them, that's they went to school for, and now it becomes a money issue and all that stuff. No one will take good care of your health better than you yourself. So just be aware, keep learning, and that's what we're going to be doing all here as we move forward. I'll be tackling some issues down the road, like cholesterol, like fat, like stuff that means something for you to understand. And yes, dude, 58. I'm 58. So you're the only ones to know now. So anyway, guys, I hope you find it very informative. And remember, as always, your health is your best asset. I look forward to seeing you next time. You guys take care. Bye-bye.